However, just as a brief aside, when doing this myth, I was really curious, how much is $10 trillion really? I'm a very literal person. It's hard for me to understand such a big number. And I think it's probably hard for a lot of people. This is what I think of when you think of a real rich person. You're diving into the money like Scrooge McDuck. So let's take some literal measurements. Here's one US dollar bill. It is 0.109 millimeters high. Any optical engineers in here? So you may understand this as 109,000 nanometers, or about 70 wavelengths in the C-band. So let's stack two, 0.2 millimeters. How many of these do we have to stack? Well, not how many, we know how many, but how high is our stack going to go to reach $10 trillion? Don't shout out your guesses. I know you're too shy. Only one person raised their hand earlier anyway. But maybe think in your mind how high you think that stack's going to be. Here's 1 meter to help you get started. This is a meter stick, and that would be valued at $9,156, okay? So $10 trillion is going to be pretty high. We'll see how high it is. Eiffel Tower? $10 trillion? No. That's only 2.7 million. Okay, so let's really go out. Ozone layer, the middle of the ozone layer is around 25 kilometers up in the atmosphere, or at the very top of the atmosphere. LEO satellites have a pretty wide band, but one of the Starlink orbits was set at 535 kilometers. Do you think it's going to get that high? Or do you think it's going to go all the way up to where geosynchronous satellites are, at 36,000 kilometers? Well, let's take a look. The value of going up to the ozone layer is only 225 million. We're not at $10 trillion yet. At geosynchronous satellites, only 327 billion. There's our stack of money. Okay, can we make it all the way to the moon at 384,000 kilometers? Actually, that's only $3.5 trillion. So we go 3 times past the moon to make $10 trillion. Here's another thing to put in context. The US national debt is 31.6 trillion. But because I'm being stupidly literal, I had another idea for comparison, okay? Here's our $10 trillion stack going 3x past the moon. What about submarine cables? Can we fit all that in undersea cables? What if we take them and stack them all up? I think that's a pretty good idea, and in fact, it probably would have been good enough for the Shark Tank segment, but I'm pretty sure Valley Kamilov would have objected that he had already filed a patent a couple of years before for that concept. But let's take a look at what all the undersea cables are in the world and stack them end to end. You think it's going to go, how far do you think that's going to go up? 1.9 million kilometers. There is a lot of undersea infrastructure already in the water. Okay, last really stupid thing, then we'll get a little bit more serious. Can we reach Mars? You know, there's a lot of concept of going to Mars. Maybe instead of using radio communications, we can just build fiber. Valley, do you know how to splice? Okay, we're going to send Valley up in a cosmonaut little outfit, and we're going to pull out every single fiber from the cable. So a 24 fiber pair system, you get 48 fibers, right? So it's going to be well beyond what a cable is. Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. 32 million kilometers, though. It is an awful lot. Okay, thanks for bearing with me with that really idiotic set of comparisons, but we're done with the myth. $10 trillion a day, turns out it's either extremely plausible or I think we can say this one is actually confirmed. So if you've cited this statement before, you're safe.